I've been testing backpacking gear for over a decade, and most years bring the same story. Lighter fabrics, minor design tweaks, and maybe a clever stuff sack here and there. But 2025, this year was different. 6 times this year, I opened a box, took a product out on trail, and had that rare moment where you realize you're holding something that changes everything. These aren't just the best products of 2025, these are pieces of gear that have made entire categories of equipment feel outdated overnight. Whether you're a weekend warrior or a triple crowner, these 6 game changers are gonna have you rethinking your entire pack setup. The first category we're gonna talk about is stoves, but specifically stoves made for cold weather conditions. Up until now, winter canister stoves like the MSR WinPro 2 are pretty inefficient, while liquid fuel stoves like the MSR Whisperlight are heavy, messy, and fiddly. And that's why the Primus Ulti stove that we're looking at today is a game changer. It's an inverted canister stove with a preheating tube, but then it uses a radiant burner. So you get all the ease of use and convenience of a canister, but then the efficiencies of a radiant burner. In addition to the radiant burner, the other thing that makes this stove really efficient is the fact that the pot that it comes with uses a heat exchanger system. So you get all the benefits not only from an efficiency standpoint, but also for wind. I tested this out in some windier conditions, and the wind didn't really affect it at all. I also really like that the entire system, including a medium-sized canister, can fit inside of the 1.7 liter pot. The one downside is that this system is very, very expensive and a little bit hard to get. The next category are quilts. Quilts are awesome because they're lighter weight than sleeping bags, and you can shift positions underneath them a lot easier, just like you would a blanket at home. But quilts can be tough to figure out if you're used to sleeping bags. You have to attach them to your sleeping pad, which is a different step than a sleeping bag, and people have been known to feel a little bit of cold due to drafts with quilts that have been made up until now. And that's where Neve quilts come into play. They change the game by adding draft tubes along the side of the quilt. So they position the clips that attach to the pad strap a little bit higher along the quilt. So you have this layer of material in between the clip and the sleeping pad that really is effective at sealing off the quilt from drafts and keeping you nice and toasty warm. This is really noticeable if you toss and turn underneath the quilt and the quilt lifts up a bit. If these pad straps just kind of lift a little bit, then you have all this material in order to fill in the gap, and it works very, very well. Neve includes really thick pad straps, which helps reduce how much the quilt can lift off of the sleeping pad. And then at the head end, you have a neck snap and a draft collar and a cinch in order to really lock it up around your neck and shoulders in order to keep heat in. This quilt is also fairly lightweight for how feature rich it is, and then an amazing price. It's one of the best priced quilts on the market. For cold weather sleeping pads, the Thermarest X-Therm has dominated the space by being the warmest pad on the market for years. It's one of the only sleeping pads that allows you to sleep on snow in really cold conditions, but it has a big drawback, and that's the fact that it does not sleep comfortably. Pretty much every cold weather sleeping pad on the market, including the X-Therm, has been abysmal when it comes to comfort, especially when you have them fully inflated in order to maximize R value and warmth. The Sea to Summit Etherlite XR Pro changes the game by introducing a sleeping pad that sleeps very warm, even on snow in very cold temperatures. I tested this thing down to minus 25 degrees Celsius on snow and I was warm. But it's also comfortable. It uses a dimpled baffling system that provides a lot of great pressure relief even when fully inflated. It also has an amazing valve that's on top of the sleeping pad so you can add some air really easily, which is a very common thing when you're out in cold weather conditions. And then it's quite compact and fairly lightweight for a winter pad. I still don't think it's quite as warm as the X-Therm, but it's warm enough, and I love the fact that we now have a comfort winter rated sleeping pad. There's something else that I want to mention that isn't a piece of gear from 2025, but has been one of the biggest game changers out of anything that I've used for my hiking and backpacking. It's Minimalist footwear, with the sponsor of today's video, Lems, making my favorite shoes that I've been using for years. There are 2 main benefits I've noticed from using Minimalist footwear as my day-to-day shoes. They allow your foot to move and be used naturally, which 1, helps with foot strength, and then 2, helps with posture and body alignment. But it's important to note that you shouldn't just jump right into using Minimalist footwear and go out and take them to a day at Disneyland or start walking 10 miles to work every day. If you do that, you're gonna run into some issues. If you're used to super cushioned and supportive shoes, then ease into Minimalist footwear by going for short walks at first and then slowly extending the amount of time you're in them. The goal and where I'm at is having a few pairs of Lems that I wear pretty much exclusively now and are what I walk around in all the time in order to strengthen and support my feet. My favorite Lems are the Primal Zens and the Chelsea boots, but I also have the 9-to-5s for a dressier option and then boat shoes for the summer. Check out Lems down at the link in the video description. I love them, they look great, and they help make my feet stronger for when I'm out hiking and backpacking. The next item has to do with lids that come with titanium pots that we all use for backpacking. I surveyed my audience, and the most commonly used pot for backpacking trips is the Toke 750. But the lid that comes with it is kind of finicky. It does the job of keeping heat into the pot, but you have to use either an elastic band or a bag in order to keep everything together. And they have pretty much no other function, which is where the Pika lid, which is a lid that I co-designed with Peak Outdoors, comes into play. Not only does this lid snap onto the pot so that you don't have to use an elastic band or a bag, but you're also able to nest a fuel canister in it so that you're not getting any rust rings in the pot. You can nest your lighter underneath the fuel canister, which is amazing. As a bonus, the lid also has a measurement conversion chart, drainage holes, a pouring spout, and then you can slide your spoon into the holes on the top of the lid here. And then when the lid is attached to a pot, you can pour water out of the pot really easily, even if you don't have handles on your pot. We're currently working on getting a lot more stock and in different colors of the lids, so make sure to sign up for notifications at the link down in the video description. Smart waters and Nalgene's have been the staples for carrying water around when backpacking for years, and you'd pick one or the other depending on whether you wanted to go more ultralight or have something that was more reusable and classic. But neither is really an ideal option, and both have trade-offs and drawbacks depending on which one you go with. And that's where I think the Migo bottle, designed by Miranda Goes Outside, has been a game changer option. I think the biggest standout feature with it is the fact that you have this dual threaded lid. So you have a standard Nalgene sized opening, which is awesome for easily filtering water into the container, as well as pouring things like electrolyte powder in. It just is a whole lot easier with this wide opening. The wider opening also makes it really easy to clean, whether you're doing that by hand or taking advantage of the fact that it's dishwasher safe. And then you have a standard 28 milliliter water bottle threading on the top here. So the same threading that you would have on smart water bottles. So you can use it with a flip cap, which is what I prefer to do, or you can attach your filter, like your Sawyer filter or Quick Draw, right onto that threading and then drink directly from the bottle, with the bottle holding dirty water. I love that the bottle can also hold boiling water, which is going to be amazing once they introduce a koozie in order to take this out in winter time. And I also like that the threading allows you to use it with a bidet, which is really convenient. And I love the squeeze factor as well. That's the final thing that I really like about this. You squeeze water out of it and it bounces back really nicely. You don't get all that crinkly like you do with smart water bottles. And that brings us to pack rafts. Even 5 years ago, pack rafting looked pretty janky. The boats looked like inflatable dinghies, and strapping your gear to the front of the boat and then trying to go down whitewater just seems super sketchy to me. And that's where Alpaca is really revolutionizing pack rafts and pack rafting. Over the last several years, they've made some pretty crazy advancements with boats, and I think that kind of culminates in the Alpaca Mage pack raft. This thing is very, very capable, can perform on whitewater, and then only weighs 8.5 pounds. The major things that they introduced, which makes this boat really awesome for pack rafting, is the fact that you have a zipper on the back, so you can put gear inside the tubes, which helps with center of gravity and makes it a lot less sketchy than strapping stuff to the front of the boat. You also have a full back band, a seat, and then thigh straps. Thigh straps are a game changer when it comes to navigating a river and just being able to maneuver the boat really effectively. And then with the Mage, they have this floor that inflates along the bottom of the boat, and it pushes the bottom of the boat down in order to create edges, which is really nice for secondary stability and then being able to edge and kind of carve down the river. This thing's super cool. With the thigh straps, you're also able to roll the boat, which is awesome. And then it's light enough to take on multi-day expeditions. Go check out this video for my 2025 backpacking gear awards. I give it awards for the best pack, the best tents, the best pads, basically everything that you need for a backpacking trip.